Thing up. Oh, last week we looked at Matthew 11. I want to go back to that because it kind of laid a foundation for where I'm going today. This is where John was cast into prison by Herod. And he sent two disciples. Then Christ condemned the three cities, and he was actually condemning the religious institution. They say he cursed the cities. He just cursed the religious institution that was going on inside the cities. And then he said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that thou hast hid these things. And just to repeat a little bit, it's exactly the opposite of what's said in every building in America, or most every building in America today. He was thanking the Father for hiding things from the wise and the prudent. And under the Moses Pharisaical or Moses law, that's what their mindset was they were wise and they were prudent enough to save themselves. And he was thanking him for that, and that's the exact same thing that you hear in the Armenian institutions everywhere. They have it hanging right on their sign, free will. I mean, they hang it right on the sign out front. It says free will. In other words, we are wise enough and we are prudent enough to accept or not accept. And Christ said, thank thee, O Father, that you have hid these things himself from who thinks they are wise and they are prudent. That's the basic outline of chapter 11. It took me 30 minutes to say that last week. Now I didn't get into 11 verse 28. But that's where I want to land, and first off, this is not an open offer. He says, come unto me. Now, this come unto me, that me obviously is Christ. And the last part of what he told them to tell John, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. And what does he say over here? Who does he say to come unto? Who is he telling to come unto? He's saying, come unto me. Not come unto Moses' law. Don't come unto anything else. Come unto me. But then he narrows it down, because he's already said, thank thee, O Father, for hiding it from these wise and prudent. Now he's saying, who is to come unto me and not to be offended in him. He was a stumbling stone, and he was a rock of offense. Offended. That's exactly how he was. But then he narrows it down. He says, come unto me, all ye that what? Labor and are heavy laden. I could read the whole Hebrews 3 and 4. And if you have a moment, take and read that. Because that tells you who it is that is laboring and is heavy laden. It's those ones. Here was John over here, and he was thrown in jail. You go back to Nebuchadnezzar. And here he is. The very second he says, "Look at the kingdom that I have built." And it says, as the word was in his mouth. Let's read that. It's in Daniel 7. I may be wrong. No, Daniel 4. Daniel 4 and verse 30. The king spake and said, "Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty?" While the word was in king's voice, there fell a voice from heaven saying, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom." It doesn't say your kingdom. It says the kingdom is departed from thee. All ye that labor and are heavy laden, each and every, in my humble opinion, little child of God, at times will be put out there just exactly like Nebuchadnezzar. They will go through their times like John in jail. They will go through their times. He was put out. He was put out there. And at the end of the days, Nebuchadnezzar lifted up his eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me. But it was at the end of the days. It was the time set from the Lord from heaven. He set the time that when he put him out there, and he set the time when his mind returned. There was no point that he was not a child of God. It doesn't say that. It says he put him out there, and it was for a purpose that was worthy of himself, the Lord from heaven. Come unto me, and he narrows it down to those that labor and are heavy laden. That is what is shown. An elect child of God, you are shown that you are a sinner saved only by the grace of an almighty God. And that's why he said, "Thank thee, O Lord, that you have hid these things from the wise and the prudent," because when he shows you that you are black and you are comely, the last thing that you think of yourself is that you are wise and that you are prudent. At that time, Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord reached down and just flipped a switch and put him out there, and at the time that the Lord deemed, and it was not a time that Nebuchadnezzar, he didn't flip that switch himself to go out there, nor did he flip the switch to come back. He didn't do it. And at the end of the days, lost John, I bless the Most High, and I praise and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion. His kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand or say, "What doest thou?" And he is the same one over here that is saying, "Come unto me, all ye that labor." all ye that are heavy laden, all those that he has shown, and you think in your mind, there's no possible way that I can be one of those elect, but he knows each and every one, and he knows them by name. Each and every one of those. And you think in your mind, no one feels what I feel. No one feels that sin within themselves, that labor and that heavy laden. But each and every little elect will feel that. Oh. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. And then he tells you how he is. And this is the Lord of heaven. This is the Lord who created all things. He's the one that little Randall would talk about. And he'd take that little fist and he'd pound on the pulpit and he'd say, that gnat right there, that gnat. And he would tell us about that great God that he wanted to tell everybody about. That's all he wanted to talk about. And Connie went and got him for 2 years. And that's all he wanted to tell you about. He says, for I am meek and I am lowly in heart. But what are you going to find? Rest in your souls. Rest unto your souls. Because he says his yoke is easy. And he says my burden is light. Now, chapter 12. Yeah, we're going. Chapter 12. And everyone knows these are letters. They just laid them out in chapters because it's handy. It starts off at that time. In other words, there was no space between what he just said and what they're getting ready to do. And there is a purpose in why they're getting ready to do this. He is showing what the wise and the prudent believe. And he starts off with something that they believe today. Sunday is the holy day and it's the Sabbath. When I was stationed over in Germany, if you cleaned your car on a Sunday, if you cut a tree, it didn't matter what you done. If somebody seen you, they could turn you in and they'd come knocking on your door because you were working on Sunday. And what I'm getting ready to read is the exact same thing that was happening right here on this same exact day. He says, at that time Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were a-hungered and began to pluck the ears of corn. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. Something, I understand why, I guess. I guess maybe Moses' law was only given to national Israel, the Jews. It was not given to the Gentile people. It absolutely was not. It was given to, but yet, today, in world, they say ye must follow the 10 Commandments. And you must obey Moses' law when it was done away with. And I'll get to a verse here in a second. But I understand the why they're doing that, because it is within our carnal nature. It is within each and every carnal nature human being to think that they can do something to please God. But he only handed it to national Israel, but yet in many of these buildings they have hung up the 10 Commandments. They go right down the law. They go right down, and he picks the very one that is still in service today, which is you have to be to church on Sunday. It's not that you have to be to church on Sunday. It is that you want to be to church on Sunday. It is that spirit that is within you, that is welling up inside of you, and it puts that want in there. And then the Lord assembles His church as He sees fit, wherever it is, whether it's in a barn, or it's in a cave, or it's in a living room, or it's in a mansion. He assembles it. Has nothing to do with the day of the week. He's told you about the wise and the prudent, and now he tells you exactly how those wise and prudent believe. But he said unto them, have you not read what David did? And I ain't going to go in and ask for time. And he entered into the house of God and did eat the showbread. And have you not read in the law, having on the Sabbath day the priest? And he tells them, but I say unto you, that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if he had known what this meaneth, if ye had known, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless, for the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. And then he, down here, he heals. This is where he healed the man with the withered hand. In verse 14, then the Pharisees went out and held counsel against him, how they might destroy him. And when you read that verse 14 right there, and you go over here, and his answer to John, who was in jail, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. They were offended because he was doing away. He was doing away. Now go over to Colossians 2:14. I don't know. I don't understand a lot. I don't think I can fully grasp just how massive this was for the Jewish people. It had to be enormous, because they were given this law. It was only given to them. The Gentile people could see that. They weren't stupid. Go back through the ages when they had the Ark of the Covenant, and Dagon just kept falling over, and they would have to tape him back together. They put him on that cart, and they took him to cows that had just had calves, and they went against their motherly intuition, which is huge, and they took it right on down the road. These Gentile people were not dumb people. They could see that these Jewish people, that God was with them, and they knew that. They could see that. Now all of a sudden, here comes this man named Jesus, who is going completely against it. Paul is getting letters from the Sanhedrin Council, I'm thinking, and he's going and he's throwing them in jail because he is doing the work of God. Now they are offended in him. But what did Christ do? It says here, Colossians 2, he was blotting out, Christ, the handwriting of ordinance that was against us, which was contrary to us, and he took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. And having spoiled principalities and power, he made a show of them openly. Let no man therefore judge you in meat, Sabbath, or in drink, or in respect of a holy day, which are the shadow of things to come. But the body is of Christ. Let no man beguile you. He's laying it out. And yes, we've heard time and time again, I know I'm not under Moses' law, but your carnal nature wants to do something to please God. And when that time is upon you, just like Nebuchadnezzar, when the Lord reaches down and he flips that switch and then he flips it back on, or either Daniel in the lion's den, or many are the examples. And then he brings you back, and then you see, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. You see, it is only by him and through his grace. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. And I went through the first Ephesians the other day, and it clearly states who the us and the we are. It is the elect, and he, like I said, I think it was that same day, he knows his sheep by name. Go over to Acts 15. And this is just reiterating. And certain men, which came down from Judea, taught the brethren and said, they're saying the exact same thing today. Except you be circumcised at the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved. I don't see how much plainer that can get. That's what they believe. If you don't accept his offer, you cannot be saved. That's what's said throughout all of these buildings, and it's being said right now. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension, they had a big argument and disputation with them, and being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles. And what happened? And they caused great joy unto all the brethren. But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. They keep right on that path because they have blinders on, and they have not been shown that they are labor and they are heavy laden. And when there rose up much disputing, men and brethren, you know how that a good while ago God made choice among us that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And you go right back here, if I'm right on this, and I'm not. It says, Acts 10:34. It's right in the same one. You don't have to turn very far. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. He's sitting there and he's telling them, you must They are saying that you must follow Moses. You have to be circumcised. You have to do this. The circumcision is not made with hands in the heart. It is not made with hands. It is not, the stone was not cut out of the mountain with hands. It is a circumcision that comes down from above, and they had it in their head. The Jews did, and I understand that because they were given this, and that's what they looked to for their salvation. But he said God is not a respecter. Now therefore, verse 10 and back in 15. Now therefore, why tempt ye God to put a yoke upon, now look right here. Now therefore, why tempt ye God to put a yoke upon the neck of the Gentiles? That is not what it says. It was given to the Jews. Why tempt you to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples? It clearly points that Moses' law was not given to the Gentiles, nor which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear. But, and the next verse shows it too, but we believe that through the grace, the amazing grace of an almighty God, not Moses' law. And you go over, I won't for time, you go over into Hebrews, you can sum up the letter of Hebrews a better way. That's exactly what it is in just all through it, but chapter 8, here's the sum of what is said. And then it goes to chapter 10, and it talks about that better way, which is Christ. Moses' law was a shadow of things to come. It was given to the smallest population of the people at that time. It was given to the chosen people. When he brought the Israelites out of Egypt, he walked them out by their hand. He led them. In like manner, he leads his sheep in the same exact manner by their hand. And it says right here, but we believe that through the grace of whom? The Lord Jesus Christ, we, the Jews, shall be saved, even as they. The they is the Gentiles. The law was not given to the Gentiles. He's talking about the neck of the disciples, which are fathers, but we believe that. And then he goes down, verse 14, and Simeon, and that's over in Luke 2, hath declared how God at the first did visit the Gentiles, to take out of them a people for his name, and to this agree the words of the prophet, as it is written. And it goes on down, verse 18. Known unto God are all his works, from the beginning of the world. I've used that to prove predestination. John's done it, Dad's done it. There's been thousands of times that verse right there, and I'll probably use it again, to prove that I was predestined to wear a shirt. This shirt. That Randall, when he pointed to that gnat, it was predestinated for that gnat to land there. I totally agree with that. But in this case right here, it's taking it out of context in a way. Paul is saying, known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. He is pointing He is pointing to, he is bringing in the Gentiles, and that we are saved by the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. Why tempt you to put the yoke that we or our fathers could not bear? That's what he's pointing to with this verse right here. Known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. That's what he's pointing to, is what's happening right here in chapter 15. There's so many verses, and I don't want to take up too much time here. I'm going to have to read that. If I can find Hebrews. There we go. Hebrews 10. I almost have to read down through this a little bit. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, it was merely just a shadow of things to come. And when the Lord reaches in and he shows you that you are a sinner, only saved by the grace of an almighty God, that's when you feel that labor and you are heavy laden. You feel that. You know that. And you look only to him. And you are not offended in him. That's why when he told John, that's when he said that, that's the last thing he said. Go tell John what you have seen, and those that are not offended in me. That happens when in that little child of God. And not the very image of the things, can never, and it says never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect. It cannot happen. Titus tells us we worship a God that cannot lie. And he's sitting right here and he's saying, can never with those sacrifices, but then would they not have ceased to offer